I found my boyfriend chat with his side chick, she texted him. She can't satisfy you like I can, she's just a walking stomach now. He didn't even defend me. Instead, he replied, yeah, she used to be fun before the baby ruined her. When I confronted him, he shrugged and said, it didn't mean anything, you've just been different since the pregnancy. My name is Alicia. I was 26 when I met Marcus Carter. He was the kind of man you don't forget. Charming, confident, smooth-talking. The kind who could make a waitress smile just by saying thank you. He had this way of making every word feel like a promise. He made me feel like the most special woman in the world, like I was the main character in a love story. We moved fast, too fast. Dinners turned into weekend getaways, sleepovers into sharing a toothbrush, and late-night phone calls turned into conversations about baby names just 3 months in. Everyone said it was too fast. I should have listened. When I found out I was pregnant, I was scared. It wasn't planned. I stared at the test for almost 10 minutes, my heart racing. When I told Marcus, I expected hesitation, but instead, he smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, we got this, you and me. We'll be amazing parents. We moved in together, painted the nursery. He picked out a tiny Odyssey that said Daddy's girl even before we knew the gender. He was so present, so loving. Until I hit my 3rd trimester, that's when Marcus changed. He stopped touching me, he stopped kissing me, stopped calling me babe, stopped asking how I was feeling. He barely even looked at me anymore. He'd come home late and smell like cologne I didn't wear. His tone started to shift too. Cold. Sharp. If I asked him something as simple as, can you help me carry this? He'd scoff and say, you wanted the baby, right? Handle it. When I complained about back pain or swollen feet, he rolled his eyes and said, pregnancy isn't a disability, Alicia. Stop acting like it's the end of the world. Sometimes, I'd ask him to rub my feet like he used to. He'd say he was tired, but not too tired to stay up texting in the bathroom with the door locked. I began to dread evenings, not because I was alone, but because he was there, and still made me feel lonely. One night, I made his favorite dinner, just trying to get a spark back. He came in, glanced at the table, and said, you have time to cook but can't fold the damn laundry. I stood there, holding a plate of food with trembling hands, and said nothing. Because how do you argue with someone who already decided they're done with you? Some nights, he wouldn't come home at all. He'd say, work ran late, or I crashed at a friend's place because I had a few drinks. I didn't recognize him anymore. The man who once rubbed lotion on my belly and whispered to the baby had disappeared, and the silence in our home grew louder than my sobs. He stopped coming to doctor's appointments, stopped reading the pregnancy updates I used to send him. Once, I showed him the ultrasound picture. He barely glanced at it and said, cool, looks like an alien. And just like that, my joy felt stupid. I was carrying his child, our child, but he made me feel like a burden, like an obligation he resented, so I stopped asking for his time, stopped texting him updates, stopped showing him nursery ideas, because every time I tried to involve him, it felt like I was begging to be seen, and no woman should have to beg for love she already earned. The signs were always there, the late nights, the locked phone, the sudden coldness, but when you're in love, you cling to hope like a life jacket. I told myself he was just stressed, that maybe fatherhood was overwhelming him, that things would go back to normal once the baby arrived, but the truth has a way of breaking through, ugly, loud, and without mercy. It was a Saturday morning. I remember because I was 35 weeks pregnant, swollen and exhausted, sitting on the couch folding baby clothes alone. Marcus had claimed he was working a double shift. But my gut told me otherwise. I never used to check his phone. I believed love didn't require surveillance, but that morning, something in me snapped. Maybe it was the silence, or the way he smiled at his phone while walking out the door, looking more alive than he had in weeks. So when his iPad pinged on the nightstand, I looked. I don't even remember breathing, just trembling hands, scrolling, and there it was. Her name was Kayla. Pretty, young, one of those Instagram girls who posted mirror selfies with long captions about self-love and positive energy, even though she was sleeping with someone else's man. Their messages were bold. Shameless, they didn't hide anything. He told her I was just the baby mama, said he was only still around because he didn't want child support drama. Said I was clingy, emotional, and boring now. There were photos, videos, even voice notes of her giggling, asking when he was finally going to leave the housewife. I felt numb, but the worst part? She knew I was pregnant. She said things like, "She can't satisfy you like I can, she's just a walking stomach now," and he didn't defend me. He agreed, "Yeah, she used to be fun before the baby ruined her." I couldn't breathe. I dropped the iPad, sat on the floor, belly heavy, heart shattered, and sobbed until my chest hurt. How do you cry like that with a baby inside you? How do you protect a child from a heartbreak they weren't even born into yet? When Marcus came home later that evening, I was still sitting in the same spot, eyes swollen, hands shaking, pain sitting in my throat like a stone. He looked at me and had the nerve to say, "You been crying all day? What now, Alicia?" I held his iPad out to him. His face dropped, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't have the right thing to say. No smooth talking, no fake charm, just silence. I asked him, "How long?" He didn't answer. So I asked again, "How long have you been cheating on me with Kayla?" He sighed and mumbled, "It didn't mean anything, you've just been different since the pregnancy." Different. That word cut deeper than any insult. I was different because I was growing his child, because my body was sore, because my emotions were high, because I was sacrificing everything for the future we said we wanted, and somehow, that made me disposable. That night was the first time I truly raised my voice at Marcus. I didn't plan to, but pain has a way of exploding when it's been ignored for too long. After I showed him the messages, after he mumbled his half-hearted excuse, "You've just been different since the pregnancy," something inside me cracked wide open. Different, I shouted, tears streaming down my face. "I'm carrying your child, Marcus. I'm exhausted, I'm scared, I can barely sleep, and you're out there with some Instagram girl who doesn't even respect that I exist." He didn't look sorry, he rolled his eyes and muttered, "I didn't sign up for this drama tonight." That made me snap. "You didn't sign up for this. You begged me to keep this baby. You held my hand and said we were a team. You helped paint the nursery, Marcus. You picked out her name, and now you're acting like I trapped you." His jaw tightened. He stood there, arms folded, like I was just some over-emotional woman making noise. "You don't get it, Alicia," he finally said. "Ever since you got pregnant, everything's been about the baby. The mood swings, the hormones, no intimacy, no fun. I feel like I'm living with a stranger." "No intimacy," I echoed, stunned. "You've made me feel disgusting for months. I try to talk. You shut me out. I try to touch you. You flinch. You humiliated me, Marcus. And now you're blaming me for your cheating." The room was quiet for a second. I could hear my own heartbeat thudding in my ears. Then he said something that broke me. "Look, maybe I just needed to feel wanted again. You haven't exactly made that easy." I stepped back like he slapped me. "I made you feel unwanted? While I've been limping around this house with swollen ankles, folding baby clothes, and praying you'll come home before midnight." I was trembling, not just with anger, but grief. Grief for the love I thought I had, for the future we were supposed to build. He grabbed his keys and walked to the door. "Where are you going?" I asked, my voice shaking. He didn't even look at me. "Out, I need space. I don't want to be here with all this yelling." "Marcus, don't leave me alone tonight. Please, I'm 35 weeks pregnant, anything could happen." He turned around and said flatly, "You'll be fine." Then he walked out, no kiss, no apology, no look back, just the sound of the door slamming shut behind him, and there I was, alone in the house we decorated for our child. Staring at the empty crib, listening to the silence, holding my belly and whispering to the baby inside, "I promise I won't let anyone else hurt us like this again." The next morning, I woke up on the couch, still in the same clothes, neck sore from crying myself to sleep. Marcus hadn't come back. No call, no message, no apology, just absence. My eyes were puffy, my body felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds, and my heart, it was just numb. I waddled into the nursery and sat in the rocking chair. I didn't even know what I was waiting for. A knock, a text, a miracle, but nothing came. Around 10 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was Marcus. My heart fluttered, not with hope, but confusion. I opened the message. "Don't stress yourself, I'll come by later to talk. I just need time to think." Time to think? I stared at the screen, stunned. He needed time. While I was 35 weeks pregnant, swollen, alone, and still recovering from the truth he forced into my hands. I didn't reply. I couldn't. I spent the day in silence. I couldn't even eat. Just walked from room to room, feeling like a ghost in a house built on broken promises, and Marcus didn't come that night. It was a Tuesday morning when my water broke. I started feeling this sharp cramp in my lower back. At first, I thought maybe I had been sitting too long, or maybe it was Braxton Hicks, those fake practice contractions, but this felt different, stronger, rhythmic. Coming and going in waves. I started timing them, every 10 minutes, then every 8, then 6. My heart dropped. No, not now, not alone. I grabbed my hospital bag and sat on the edge of the bed, breathing through each wave of pain. I texted Marcus, "I think I'm in labor. The contractions are getting closer. I'm scared." I waited. 5 minutes. 10. No reply. I called. No answer. I called again. Straight to voicemail. I considered calling a cab or an ambulance, but something in me just froze. I was too hurt, too confused, too overwhelmed. Then finally, 30 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Marcus. I picked up, breath shaky. "Marcus, please, I think I need to go to the hospital." His voice. Cold. "I'm not even in town, Alicia. I'm at my cousin's place for the weekend. I told you I needed space." "You left town." "I'm in labor, Marcus, then call someone. I told you, I'm not doing this right now." Click. He hung up. I stared at the phone in disbelief. My knees buckled. I slid down to the floor, my belly heavy, my heart heavier. But right then, in the middle of the pain, a different kind of fire lit inside me. I wasn't just a woman abandoned. I was a mother now, a protector, and this little boy inside me? He deserved better. He deserved everything. So I wiped my tears. I called him. No answer. Again and again. Panicking, I knocked on my neighbor's door, and thank God for her. She rushed me to the hospital. I was in so much pain I could barely breathe. My contractions were coming fast, my vision blurry from the tears. I was alone, no support, no one holding my hand, no one telling me it would be okay. After 2 hours of screaming through the pain, shaking and exhausted, a nurse walked in holding my phone. "He texted," she said quietly, her face tight with disbelief. "He said, he's busy." Busy. While I was giving birth to our child, my hands shook as I gripped my belly. I couldn't even respond. I just cried. I screamed. I pushed. And then I heard it. The soft, beautiful sound of my baby's cry, my son. They placed him on my chest, and I felt everything and nothing all at once. Love, relief, rage, heartbreak. A nurse leaned down, smiling gently. "He's beautiful. What's his name?" "Logan," I whispered, tears streaming down my cheeks. "And the last name?" I paused. My whole body trembled. Then I looked down at the tiny boy in my arms and said, "Henderson. My last name." Because Marcus hadn't earned the right to pass down his name. He wasn't there. He didn't hold my hand. He didn't see his son's first breath. He didn't show up when it mattered most. So I gave our son my last name, Logan Henderson, not Logan Carter. That was the moment I decided. No man would ever make my son feel abandoned, not while I'm alive. 2 days later, Marcus showed up at the hospital. He walked in holding a tiny teddy bear, reeking of cologne that wasn't mine. No flowers. No apology. Just a lazy, "What's up?" He looked confused when I handed him a copy of the birth certificate. "Why doesn't he have my name?" he snapped. I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Because you weren't there when he was born. You were busy. That's not how fathers show up." Then I handed him a photo, a printed picture of him, walking out of a hotel with Kayla. His mouth dropped, his face went pale. "I know everything, Marcus. You weren't at your cousin's place. You were with her. All I wanted was for you to be there when I was giving birth, just to be there for your son." He stuttered, begged, pleaded. He cried in that hospital room like the guilt had just hit him. But for me, it was too late. The love I had for him had died the night he walked away from me in pain. I didn't yell, I didn't curse, I just turned away, picked up my baby, and held him close. I went home with my son the next day, packed our things, and moved in with my sister, 3 towns over. I left behind the apartment, the pain, the false promises, and the man who failed us and I walked away with everything that truly mattered. My son in my arms, my name on his tiny hospital bracelet, and my strength, finally, fully awakened. Fast forward to today, Logan is 4 years old now. Bright, sweet, funny, and strong-willed, just like me. I started my own online business, building a small empire from my kitchen table while he napped beside me. It wasn't easy. There were sleepless nights, tight budgets, and moments I questioned everything. But we made it, me and my son. We were happy. Just us two. While I was rebuilding my life, Marcus was watching his fall, in slow motion. At first, it didn't feel like a loss to him. He had Kayla, young, wild, carefree, no crying baby, no swollen feet, no stress. They went on weekend trips, posted cute couple photos, laughed at memes while I raised a child alone. But real life has a funny way of catching up because Kayla wasn't interested in being a stepmother. She didn't want Marcus the provider. She wanted Marcus the fantasy. And when she got bored, she left. One morning, Marcus woke up to an empty bed and a note on the counter that read, "You've got too much baggage. I didn't sign up for baby mama drama." The note was dropped by Kayla. Then came his job. At first, things were fine, until his lateness, distracted mind, and careless mistakes caught up to him. He started missing deadlines, taking too many breaks, showing up hungover. HR gave him warnings. His boss called him in for a meeting, and eventually, one Friday afternoon, they walked him out with a box in his hands, fired. Just like that. His apartment. Gone 3 months later. He couldn't keep up with rent. His car? Repossessed. Too many missed payments. And as for his so-called boys? They stopped answering his calls the moment the drinks stopped flowing. He tried calling Kayla again. She blocked him. So Marcus ended up sleeping on a friend's couch for a while, bouncing from one short gig to another. Every time he looked in the mirror, he saw a man who once had everything, and lost it, but the moment that truly broke him was one night at 2 a.m., scrolling through Facebook, when he stumbled on a photo of me, smiling with Logan on my lap, surrounded by toys, my business products on the table behind us. We looked happy, safe, complete, and he wasn't in the picture. That was the moment he realized he missed the miracle. Then one day, out of nowhere, I got an email from Marcus. Please. I want to be part of his life. Apparently, life had come full circle. His girlfriend had dumped him, he lost his job. And suddenly, he realized what he threw away. But it gets better. A few weeks later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it, and there he was, Marcus. His eyes were tired, his clothes looked cheap, and in his hands, a stuffed toy. Same fake smile, same tired charm. I made the biggest mistake of my life, he said. Can I meet my son? I didn't slam the door, I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I simply looked at him and said, he already has a father. Me. He blinked, stunned, then said the words I'd heard before, I've changed. I looked him in the eyes, calm and unshaken. So have I. Then I closed the door, for good, because here's the truth. You don't get to walk away from someone in the most painful moment of their life and expect to be welcomed back into the joy that followed. Once a woman becomes a mother, she doesn't beg, she builds. And ladies, let me tell you something. If a man abandons you at your lowest, he doesn't deserve to be there for your highest. Marcus missed out on the miracle, and I will never let him rewrite a story he walked out on. Because I'm not the girl who begged for love anymore. I'm the woman who built something better without him. And my son? He'll always know who showed up for him. From the very first breath. Subscribe for more stories, thank you.